Welcome once again to The Sage, and thank you for being with us. Your presence is so important to us. Thank you. A few weeks ago, we started a discussion on business, the strategic importance of business in our collective nation building. The series we've been running of recent have run on the premise, on the belief, on the conviction that we as a nation are determined to progress, to succeed, to take our rightful place in the history of the world. We are all determined to build a nation that caters for the majority of its people, a nation in which our shared bounty would indeed cater for most of us. And there's no going back on that. And in line with that, we on The Sage have been discussing various sectors of our nation and nationality that indeed discuss, brainstorm, suggest ways in which each one of us, we all have a role, in which we can work together to foster our national growth. We had recently discussed issues of the family, the strategic importance of family in nation building. We had discussed the strategic importance of religion in nation building. We had talked about the place of creative arts and how they spur and encourage and inform as we all come together as one to build our nation. There are many more areas, education and so on, that we have discussed and will keep discussing. Also recently, we started discussing the issue of business, the very important role of entrepreneurship, of business as a whole in our nation building. In some of the previous episodes, we talked about the fact that in this issue of business, that business indeed remains the center, the platform, the fulcrum of our progress. It affects everything: our economic growth, our global place. It will reduce employment, skills development. It will provide food for so many, employment for so many. It has all kinds of huge and obvious, potentially good impacts for our country. Effective business, particularly by small and medium-scale enterprises, would grow our GDP. It remains, like I said, the bedrock of everything. But very, very important is a fact that may seem obvious, but oftentimes isn't, is that entrepreneurship, business by young people, is perhaps the most important part of it all. There are so many advantages to a country having a large bulk of its businesses and enterprises run and owned by young people. They form the majority of our population. They have so many wonderful positive attributes that would be of benefit to the business and of benefit to the country. Young people are innovative. They're competitive. They have a natural ability for technology. There's so many more things they can do. I like to think they also have more heart. They're more capable of social inclusiveness. They reduce jobs by what they are. They are the ones often most in need of jobs. So they will create jobs and they will provide jobs for themselves. There's so many, many wonderful things that young people as entrepreneurs can achieve for our country. And so we thought on the Sage that it was only right and natural that we bring some of these young people on set to share their journey, to tell you their own opinion about young people and enterprise in our country. We are very proud to say that we naturally, of course, selected some of the very beautiful young entrepreneurs we have had the privilege of helping to establish and to succeed. Stay with me. When we come back, you will meet these beautiful, wonderful, hardworking young people. Stay with us. Welcome back. Thank you for continuing to be with us. Before we took the break, we promised you that we have on set with us. We are indeed blessed to have on set with us today 3 wonderful young people. People we are proud of. I like to think of them as indeed my children, who indeed have become entrepreneurs. And it was a tough choice because we have so many wonderful ones like them. But we finally decided we couldn't fill the studio with all of them. And so we had to ask only 3 to come and be with us to discuss what drove them to this and what being an entrepreneur means and its importance in our nation building. Please join me to welcome on set. Let me start from my extreme left with Kingsley Joshua.
Yeah, thank you.
Mabo. I always get that wrong. It's a Mabo, you told me.
Yes.
Yes. So, welcome.
Thank
Kingsley
you
is the CEO of Rock King Noble Shoe Enterprise. He's one of our fellows, very dear to my heart, very dear to my heart as a mother, because he's a courageous, brave, physically challenged young man, but a challenge he bears with dignity and with courage, and is always an inspiration to all of us. You will have the pleasure of hearing Kingsley himself and for him to discuss his business and everything, around it. Kingsley, welcome.
Thank you very much.
Next to Kingsley is a beautiful young lady on my left, Adeola Samuel. Adeola always inspires me with her enthusiasm and her hard work. In Adeola's day, she usually needs 48 hours in 24, and she struggles to make 24 enough. She is the CEO of T-Deo Foods. And we made a wonderful discovery today when I informed her for the first, she didn't know that Deo actually meant God.
Amazing.
And she said to herself, now that's the secret ingredient in the food I cook.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. T-Deo came from her name, but by godly coincidence, it is saying T-God. Yes. So I'm sure over and over again, God has been in the things you do.
Oh, yes, Mommy.
Welcome to the set.
Thank you so very much, Ma. I'm so happy to be here again.
And last but certainly not the least is my beautiful fashion boy, Juwon Alao.
Yes, ma'am.
My fashionista. Juwon is the creative director of El Kratos.
Yes, ma'am.
Limited, a beautiful fashion house. Yes. Juwon never fails to please and amaze us with the things he creates and the things he makes.
Thanks.
You know, one of the things that gives joy in life is the ability to look good. When you feel you're all turned out, it makes you feel good.
Wow.
And I'm sure you bring that joy and that satisfaction to many, many clients. Juma, welcome to the set.
Thank you very much, Mom.
And so let's dive in. Who wants to start? Let me start where I started. I think at the beginning again, and turn to Kingsley and say, what drove you to become an entrepreneur? What was the reason for you, and why are you doing the particular? Describe your enterprise to us, and why are you doing what you're doing?
Thank you very much, Ma. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to be on stage. It's such a wonderful one that will ever remain in our hearts. Thank you very much. Growing up as a child was really challenging because I was struck with polio at the age of 5. I will always wear good clothes, but each time I looked at myself, I would discover there's something missing. My shoes are not actually fitting to my foot, because my foot has some form of shape. So I really reasoned on that, and that kept really eating me up, and I just built this passion that I will create something for myself that will be fitting to me, that whenever someone sees it, the person will be happy. Wow, even in this food, I'm able to create something wonderful. So I began to start by preparing cartons to make my food, adjust my upper strap patterns to fit in my foot. From that point, I began to see that, yes, if I'm going to bring it up to reality, it's going to really make a lot of sense, because I'm going to be wearing a footwear that is acceptable and very beautiful. So I started that, went to places where handmade shoes materials are being sold. I got some materials. I began to cut them to the shape of a footwear, and I began to design. From that point, I began to wear sandals to school, where some of my mates were now asking, wow, Kingsley, you are not putting out something very nice. Not that you're putting in sandals and your legs are not fitting inside. So I now began to make them myself. Along the line, I keep designing beautiful shoes for myself. So people begin to like it. My friend will now say, please make for me. And I will go get materials, then make, and they wear. Before you know, it's beginning to catch attention all around that Kingsley now makes shoes. That really pushed the passion too hard that I said, I must make it a reality, and I must put food on the table for me. Through this, I'll make sure that I become something that others will see and learn. That was why I chose to really push this. And to this point, it has been yielding very well. I am fully into footwear production and design, and I am really doing well in it. I have learned from so many places. I've gained experience from so many places. In fact, I just came back from the internship in the Institute of Leather and Science Technology there in Zaria in Kaduna State.
Hang it on there. I mean, it's a beautiful story you told. I'm touched, I'm touched. Many people would take a physical challenge as, goodness me, life has dealt me a bad one. How am I going to cope? But it's beautiful to hear the positivity in you, the strength in your voice, and it's truly inspiring. Thank you so much. We'll come back to you, to hear what you learned during the internship. But let me turn to Adeola and say, what about you, my dear? Why are you doing what you're doing?
Wonderful. Thank you so very much for this opportunity. My name is Adeola Samuel, CEO TDO Foods. TDO Foods is an agro-processing company. We're into processing into flour and ready-to-eat snacks. And when I started, I just looked at it. That was during pandemic. We had to think outside the box. What is it that we can do? What solution can we provide? How can we help the economic situation of this country? Then I thought of it. Agro is the next gold. That was when I started. I started with the products. Now I have 5 products. I make I process into plantain flour, unripe plantain flour, beans flour, making work easy for you. Yeah, we know that women, especially, we have tight schedules. You don't have to spend hours just because you want to make akara. You can just do that within 15 minutes using our beans flour. You know, akara is ready, and it reduces wastages. You don't have to make like so much and then you're not able to use. When you fetch a quantity of just a cup, you will know that, oh, this is serving this number of family. I have this special product. Kulikuli is the main product in town. The fact that I can be innovative to create the idea, when you can think of it, you can make it happen. And then I discovered that whatsoever you put your mind to do, you have your crowd that is willing to drop the money for it. So it's encouraging. I just keep growing from idea. It became a startup. Now we are on growth stage because we're growing, and then we are also able to. We're training others too. When I talk to people about myself, I said Adeola is a people builder. I'm not just interested in making money for myself. I'm also ready to make all the mistakes and be able to help guide others so that the path that I had fallen and I've mastered the path, I can take people through a better path, and then they are able to make it easy in life. Being an entrepreneur, someone said, is an suicide attempt. I learned that at the C4C training, this new set. This last set. The man said, being an entrepreneur is like a suicidal attempt, because you have this beautiful vision. You think, oh, this will thrive, and then when you go into it, you face a lot of difficulties. But let me tell you, these youngsters you're seeing here, we are so resilient. We can withstand any difficulties. Nothing is shaking us. In this economy, we are making it. And that is why, you know, it is important that the government focus on this area, because when you have different businesses, ventures, and we are just like the backbone of any economy, any nation economy. We're able to, when you give us a platform to thrive, then life becomes easy. Government will even have to do less, because we'll be able to stand and also raise others to stand. We're able to raise standard of living, improve our lives, improve individuals around, and also improve our communities. We can't leave everything for the government, but we need platform to thrive.
You will still talk a bit more about that, because it is so true. It is so true. Many of the wonderful things you have said, and I love the bit about resilience. You know, we're not shaking. We're going to we're not going to give up, and so on. So that is good. But what made you decide on, you know, okay, you said healthy living was
agro-processing. You know, when I started that plantain flour, my husband actually fell ill, and then they gave us new diet for the rich. Of course, we're now the rich in Jesus' name. Then we started buying from the market. Then we discovered that it's like some people, they alter what they give. They reduce the quality. Okay. So I started processing it myself. I went to the market, buy unripe plantain, process it. Then when it got better, I discovered that, oh, this is even wise for me to be doing. And then this is a good diet for the family. You know, then I turned it into business. I have families that I process plantain flour for, and then in 10 kg, 5 kgs like that for them. Then I have pack of 1 kg, which I sell in the market. But I really have families that I service, that I provide those for. So it doesn't have to just be for my family. Many people can benefit it, get well, eat healthy. So we call it alternative, how do I call it now?
Alternative food materials?
Yes, yes. So you have different options, and then we will not compromise standard. We will rather just increase our price, but we will not compromise standard, because we know the importance of good health.
Good health.
Yes.
Beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, I like that.
Then when we say kulikuli is an healthy snack. Yes. And then when you eat our own, there's no standing our own. It's well processed. And what gives me joy is the fact that NAFDAC came to our factory, and then it was certified, and we're so excited about it, you know. So we're trusting God that all will be perfected, and we'll be able to train more people to also stand and You know, for 12 years, I worked as a finance manager.
Again, I'm going to stop you because if I don't stop you, Juwon won't have a chance to say anything. You're ready to go. Don't worry, I'll come back. There's plenty more to talk.
Thank you so very much, ma'am.
And so we turn to Juwon. Thank you for your patience. You've been watching your two colleagues and wondering when they're going to let you have a say. Yeah. So tell us, what is it? Why are you into fashion?
Thank you very much, Mommy. Okay, again, my name is Juwon, Olorun Juwon Alao. I am the creative director of El Kratos Limited. El Kratos is a tailoring brand. I like to use the word tailoring. People will say fashion and all that, but I don't know. I think it's just stayed with me. I like to use the word tailoring. It's a tailoring brand where we create styles. We create style for people. We make outfits. Now, there are two different things. Some people sew and all of that. But how did it start? That was the question, Mommy. What pushed me into it? So now, from childhood, I think I've always been different when it comes to what I put on and how I look. I just like to be different. I don't want to have what everybody has. I think my mom inspired it actually, because she just goes all around and buy things that you hardly find, down to my socks when I was in primary school. The kind of socks I wear, you won't get it anyway. It's not like they are so expensive, but they are different. You don't see them around.
You had an eye for
So I grew up like that. But by the time I started making stuff for myself, I realized that not one tailor has ever gotten my style right. Like till I started sewing, not one. It will be from, okay, I want this, they'll make this, in fact, there are times when I will literally have to just leave the clothes and all that. So it started with the desire to be different and create something that it's not regular. So that was it. And like the writer of the book, The Alchemist, said, when you make up your mind to do something, the nature comes in your rescue. Like the nature comes and make everything available for you to be able to achieve your desire. So after service, after NYSC, I moved to Abuja. When I was 7, let me take this detail, a quick one. I have not said it in a long time.
I love that so much.
Yes,
don't lose your thought.
Yes.
When you start doing it, it looks as if nature comes to aligns with you.
Yes, ma'am.
And I think that I was reading a book recently, and I think it's such a beautiful, profound insight. And it's emphasizing it for the sake of all of us, because it is actually, to my mind, a law of life. When you set your mind onto something and seriously apply yourself to it, you'll find that nature, and indeed it is God, aligns with you and blesses your efforts. He never blesses laziness. No, you see. He blesses the vision that you have, and which you are now working hard to come to put to reality. And that is what you have sort of said. Now that you had zeroed it on that as your passion, as your calling, because that's a gift, you found that everything seemed to be aligned.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I think that's beautiful.
Thanks, ma'am.
Yeah. Please go on. Yeah.
Okay, ma. So I was talking about how the whole thing started. Sorry. So when I was 7, I met this guy in Ibadan, because I was always traveling to Lagos and back to my PPA and all of that. So I met this guy who sews. He's a tailor, and he told me about how that he can make shirts, packing shirts and all that. I was like, oh, that won't be a bad business. How much? He gave me price. So I decided, okay, let's see how this works. I'll give him money. He'll make shirts. When I'm coming from Lagos, I'll stop by at his place at Ibadan, pick the shirts, go to my place of primary assignment and sell it. So then it was already making sense, like, okay,
Money can be made.
I can do something with this. So after NYSC, I came to Abuja and started. I came to look for work actually, but then I now met this tailor, and I said that this is an opportunity for me to because I learned for free. It's not like I didn't have to pay and all that. So that's why I said nature tends to bring everything together, harness everything to my favor. So I was learning and I was growing. So initially I wasn't even making clothes for anybody. It was just for myself. I'll make one fine, simple outfit and wear. So it started with, oh, this is nice and all of that. And before you know, I was like, oh, that means this thing that I like to do for myself, I can actually make money from it. Then I decided, okay, this is it. And we grew, and the name for the brand came and all of that. And boom, I made C4C. And everything was polished and put in perspective. I can never forget, I was talking to someone some days ago, and I told him, I met one woman in 2019, and this was what she told me. I will never forget that, see, whatever you're doing, if it's not making profit, it's not business. It's not just about, okay, I made it 1,000, I sold it 2,000, and you have transported 3,000 and all that. That if it's not making profit, and the person's like, oh, that's true. So that's part of the polishing. Maybe we'll get there eventually. That's
No, let's go on.
That.
Because
So
I have stopped Kingsley.
So we have to put everything in perspective. So I now decided to run it as a proper business. Okay, if I make 1 naira, I have to be sure that, okay, this 1 naira will be inclusive of expenses and profit will be stated out and all of that. And right now, we're still growing. Like Diola said, we're growing, but of course, it's not where it was. Lockdown came, struck, and we survived it. And now we're thriving again. So that's why right now, even when I meet people and they're like, oh, economy is this and that, in my head, I'm like, we passed this road before, we passed this one.
Oh, yeah.
We've passed maybe tougher roads before. During lockdown, mommy reached out to us and was like, oh, how are you doing and all that. And in my head, I was going to say, mommy, I beg, leave me alone. Because I didn't even know how, but eventually, we had like a mini get-together where we tend to discuss, okay, how do you proceed from here and all of that. And just one idea, we moved again.
It's so difficult, to stop recognizing the fact that these amazing young people on the set are saying such wonderful, interesting, informative things. But we do have to stop because of our limited time, trusting that you've enjoyed them as much as we have, and therefore that you will join us again next week as they continue their beautiful story of what made them become young entrepreneurs and how they are faring with that business. See you next week as we continue this wonderful story. Thank you.